In this video, I'm going to share my take on 5 money habits that keep you poor. Just to let you know that this is real, the fruits of these habits allow me to buy my mom a car at the age of 19. I was a second year at university, I had a part-time job, no side hustle. This is not for me to brag or be arrogant, but it's just to show you and hopefully inspire you that if I was able to do this at the mere age of 19, you can do this too. You can do this even when you're 25, 30, 35. The principle will stay the same. A lot of YouTubers talk about side hustles. Here's how you can earn an extra $500 per day. Here's how you can earn an extra $10,000 per month just to get views. But what they don't tell you or even share is that the simple lifestyle principles are even more important. Because let's face it, you can earn as much money as you want, but if you don't know how to manage that money, you are screwed. Charlie Munger, if you don't know him, is a business partner of Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett is the chairman and CEO of Berkshire Hathaway. So if you don't know Warren Buffett, he's worth, I think, about 104.5 billion as of 2022. You can check it out. But, you know, billionaire status. And Charlie Munger has a famous quote saying, "All I want to know is where I'm going to die, so I will never go there." This way of thinking is called inversion thinking, which means that he's looking at the problem in reverse order. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because I'm going to give you the habits of what to do that's going to keep you poor. And that's basically looking at things in reverse order, inversion thinking. As opposed to asking, how can I make more money? Reverse this question and say, how can I lose money? If you want to have a successful relationship, it could be a marriage, friendship, as opposed to asking, how can I make this relationship successful? Ask this, how can I mess up this relationship? The first one is buy expensive items. Don't go for the cheap ones. Don't even negotiate. It's a waste of time and effort. Most people, when they have money in their accounts, they think about, okay, how can I spend this money? Because it's money that's just there and you're thinking about, okay, well, I need to use it for something, so let me spend it. Oh, these new sneakers look good, or let's go for an expensive holiday in Bora Bora, or I can get a car on a new lease because I can afford it. They often make purchases on impulse decisions, knowing that the buying of the item itself, or the joy of buying the item itself, will far outweigh the cost of the item, even though it's expensive. The key word here is impulse. When you're starting out, when you just got income coming in, when you just started a job, when you're starting a business, it doesn't make sense for you to go and make these purchases straight away, because all it is, it's just an instant gratification hit. When I was starting from zero and I didn't have any money coming in, it did not make sense for me to go on an expensive holiday. It did not make sense for me to go and buy expensive items. What it would have done, mathematically, I would have been net negative in my account. I would say, have a plan of what you're going to do with that money. So how does that look like? You can have that money go into different pots. It could be a fun pot, it could be a bills pot, it could be a learning pot. So you can have all these different pots where the money will just be trickling down, as opposed to just money sitting in your account and thinking, okay, I have this amount of money, let me go and spend it. The second one is don't budget. Don't worry about tracking down how much you're spending. Just spend and enjoy it. See, a lot of people, when they hear the word budget, they're just like, oh, it's not attractive, right? It's not something that you enjoy doing. But budgeting does not have to be so complicated or boring. It's simply you tracking how much you're spending so you know how much money you have left at the end of each month. That's all it is. A lot of people say, I want to make £100,000 a year, £250,000 a year, and that's all good, great. But the problem is that they're forgetting the other part of the equation, which is you need to also know how to manage your finances. How are you managing your expenses based on the income that's coming? Because you can earn as much money as you want, that's fine. But then how much are you spending out of the money that's coming in? Are you spending all of it? Are you spending some of it? Are you spending over it? That is the most important thing. It's not how much money that's coming in, it's what you do with the money that's coming in that's even more important. Have you ever wondered why lottery winners go broke after 5-10 years? Have you ever thought about that? It's because they don't have any money habits. They don't know how to manage the money that's coming in. You have to think about the life before they won the lottery. And most of the time, they were just probably spending. They weren't budgeting. They weren't tracking down the expenses. So now all of a sudden, when they get multi-million pound lottery winning, jackpot, that habit that they were doing before they won just gets magnified 10 or 100 times fold. So they're going to do the same habits, but now it's on a grand scale. It's important that you build those habits, because when more money does come in, and it will come, I believe that more money will come for you, but you will know how to manage that money. You're not just going to be spending it left and right. You know exactly what you're going to do, because you've been building those habits even before a lot of money was coming in. So what can you do? Whether you're a student or working in the corporate world, or even have a family of your own, the principle stays the same. You want to first know, okay, how much money is coming in? This is your income. Then you want to know, okay, how much is your expenses? What is your expenses coming out of your account? So expenses could be rent, bills, car payments, food. All those things come down as your expense. Once you got that, you want to take your income minus expense, and the leftover is basically money that's left over for you. And if that money is zero, then you can need to start looking at, okay, maybe I need to increase my income, or maybe I need to reduce my expense. It's all a proportion, it's a ratio. So this is the power when you're budgeting and when you're kind of tracking everything down. You are able to visualize the things that you need and the things that you don't need. The third one is do not use your spare time to get additional income. When I was studying at university, the weekends I had off from studying. So basically Monday to Friday, I'll just be at university. Saturday, Sunday, Sunday, I had time for myself. And what I would do on the Saturday, Sunday is I would go and work part-time. I would have a part-time job and work, and I would do 18-hour shifts. And I think it was about £4 or £4.50 an hour that I would get, so you can do the maths. It wasn't that much money, but the way I looked at it was like, okay, I have a lot of time here on my hands. What can I do? When I then embarked on the journey of starting my own business, it was like my firstborn child, if that makes sense. And then when that baby, if you like, was starting to grow and became more mature, I was able to take a step back a bit because, you know, okay, I made it work. Things are working well. I just need to come in here and there and make sure that it's working and it's still going forward. I then said, okay, you know what? Let me go and start another business. Let me go and start another venture, which was kind of like a second child. And I'll be honest with you, at the beginning, it was very difficult. Trying to manage two businesses together was a lot of effort, a lot of time and energy that was needed to make sure that both were running. But I would say this, I learned a lot about myself when I was trying to manage both businesses, because you don't know what you're capable of until you get pushed against the wall and you have no other way but just to keep going. I started to become more efficient. I started to say, okay, what is my priority right now? You're more focused, but at the same time, you're more ruthless with your time. You're more ruthless with your efficiency. You're more ruthless with productivity because you know you don't have time to waste. You will get used to it. Your mental capacity will expand. You don't know what you can do until someone pushes you. Like if someone pushes you, you're going to have a bit of friction, right? You're going to push back. But if they push you harder, you're going to push back even more. So until you're in that scenario, you are not going to know what you're capable of. It will reap dividends. At the beginning, in anything that we do in life, we have to put a lot of effort and time. And once we put that effort and time, it starts compounding. The fourth one is move out of home as soon as you can, even when there is no good reason to. But one thing that most people don't take into consideration is the financial impact of you leaving home. Expenses being the rent that you would have to pay, the food, the bills, the subscriptions, the car if you also want that, the public transport. Have you actually run through the numbers and thought, okay, if I'm going to live out, I'm going to have to pay, let's say for example, £2,000 or $2,000 per month. Does my job going to give me enough money to cover my expenses? When I left my family and home for the first time, it was not on good terms. But one of the reasons that I was confident to be able to do that was because I had money saved up. I said, okay, you know what? If something goes wrong, if the worst case scenario happens, I have this money on the side that I can rely upon to cover my expenses. Then you see the power of having a plan and being strategic. It could have a huge impact on the future moves that you want to make. If you want to move out, first have a plan. One way you can practically do this is asking yourself this question: how much money do I need to live on for 6 months? So that even if the worst case scenario happens, I lose my job, the business has gone down under, no money is coming in, at least I know that for the next 6 months, I have a pot of cash on the side that I can rely on that will be able to cover my expenses. That means you want to know your monthly rent, your bills, your subscriptions, everything that's coming out of your account as expenses. You would want to know what that is. You know the number that you have to work towards. Numbers never lie. Emotions come and go, but numbers always tell the truth if done correctly. The fifth one is to use your bonus or increase in salary to go on a shopping spree. At university, I would get student loan, which was basically extra money coming in, and instead of me going on a shopping spree, I would use that money and invest in the stock market. There's no point of me buying these items because it's just basically a dopamine hit, and after a week or two, I'm not going to feel anything. But if I can use that money and invest it in something like the stock market, which is basically one form of investment, it's not the only form of investment, and I don't touch it for 5-10 years, I'm pretty sure that the return will be far greater than if I just spend money on this item. This form of habit that I was doing even back then really helped me when I was starting to run my businesses, because any additional revenue that would come, I knew that, okay, this money has a purpose. That habit instilled in me that the money was working for the sole purpose of generating more money. It has to have a purpose. It has to have a function, or else it's just money doing nothing. And when money is doing nothing, most people, they will just go and spend it. Take a step back and think, okay, could that money have a better purpose? Maybe this money could be used, for example, to help my parents and the family pay their bills, or it could be repairing something in the house that was broken for a long time, but because it was expensive, you weren't able to. But now you have the money, you're able to contribute. If you're working in the corporate world and you get a bonus or an increase in salary, have a plan of what you're going to do with that money. For example, it could be saving that money for a house deposit pot. It could be saving that money for your 6-month emergency fund that will allow you to eventually move out of home. It could be investing in a qualification or course that you know once you do will increase your market value and you'll be able to demand a higher salary. Or it could be for your kids' school trips or their extracurricular activities. These are just habits, and I guarantee you when you do this more often, it will come natural for you. It's come natural for me where I don't even have to think about it. So I know that if I'm able to do it, I truly believe that you can do it as well. And once you've mastered this, it's onwards and upwards from here. Everything starts from zero. When are you going to start? Peace.